Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world. This is our special episode number 29 as the last final warning message just prior to the close of the vision. And let us go back again to the reading and the old symbolic code. Three symbolic code, number 5 and 6, page 13. It says, this query is answered in track number 3, the harvest, in the illustration on page 44, of which the barley sheaf of the first fruits is pictured in type and antitype. That is, the ceremonial sheaf of barley prefigured the resurrection of Christ, the first fruits, including those who arose with him. These resurrected ones constituted the spiritual sheep, which at the beginning of the judgment of 1844 was offered before the Father as a sheep offering of the living first fruits. Now, to repeat again, our subject is concerning the wave sheep, the wave lobes, and the Feast of Tabernacles. As stated in track number 3, saying on page 75, those whose vision is clear on the truth of the harvest, as taught in the testimonies of the prophets, and in the parables will have a still clearer vision as we study the significance of the wave sheep, the significance of the wave lobes, and the significance of the Feast of Tabernacles. And we know that the wave sheep is offered during the Passover week. Let us read again the statement in 13 symbolic code. It says here, 13 symbolic code number 5 and 6. On page 23, it says, take next the wave sheep, which is typical of the resurrection of Christ, having to be offered during the Passover week and on no other day but on the morrow after the Sabbath, on the first day of the week. 30 symbolic code 5 and 6, page 23. Or in track number 3 on page 78, it says, the wave sheep was to be offered on the morrow after the Sabbath, that is, on the first day of the week, now commonly called Sunday. This offering was to be presented not on a special day of the month, but rather on a special day of the week, before the sickle was put to the grain and gathered into sheaves. Leviticus 23 verse 11 and 14. Coming just at the right time in the season of the first fruits, the Passover week was the period in which the wave sheep was usually offered before the Lord. So, we have already the absolute fact that the wave sheep is offered during the period of the Passover week. Therefore, the statement in 3 symbolic code 5 and 6, page 13, 1844, could not be Gregorian calendar. Why? Because Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place October 22, 1844. Therefore, the remaining months of Gregorian is October, November, and December. And of course, January 1 is already 1845. That is Gregorian calendar. And there is no offering of wave sheep in the month of October. There is no offering of the wave sheep in the month of November. There is no offering of the wave sheep on the month of December. Therefore, 1844 in 3 symbolic code 5 and 6, page 13, cannot be Gregorian, but rather Bible calendar. Because October 22, 1844, in Bible calendar is 1843. That is the reason why in track number 6, on page 30, it says, the key of the interpretation to this honey is found in Revelation 10, verse 10. And I took the little book, says John, out of the angel's hand and ate it up. And it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. This honey sweetness represents the joy that came to the believers in William Miller's time through their wholehearted belief that the Lord was coming in the fall of 1843 AD to take them to their home in the land that is very far off, where their eyes would see the King in his beauty. Isaiah 33 verse 17. But as the day passed and the expected event failed to materialize, then overwhelming disappointment as depicted by the little book turning bitter came to everyone who, in honest expectancy, yearningly anticipated that long-hoped-for journey through the starry heavens to the city foursquare, the capital of the earth made due. track number 6, page 30 and 31. So the shepherds had made it so plain that the disappointment took place in 1843. And we know that in Gregorian, that is 1844. So here we can easily discern that 1844 in Gregorian calendar, in Bible calendar, are still in 1843. So the same with the statement in 1SR Packet Edition on page 71. It says, in some instances, the coincidental events may, according to our present calendar, appear to be a year ahead or a year behind, due to the fact that the first month of the Mosaic calendar falls in the fourth month of the present calendar year. 1SR Packet Edition, page 71. So, in this instance, the Bible calendar is 1 year behind with the Gregorian calendar. And the Gregorian calendar is 1 year ahead in the Bible calendar. So, to repeat again, this statement in 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13, that is Bible calendar. And the prophecy is accurate because the type is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that was pattern number 6, April 18, 31 AD. And 1843 is pattern number 5. Therefore, the next year, 1844, is pattern number 6. Exactly portrayed by the statement in 3 Symbolic Code 5 and 6, page 13, that in 1844, the wave ship had been offered in the presence of the Lord by Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is the high priest. So here, brothers and sisters, we can easily understand that the plan of redemption had been revealed by God through the 3 harvest rites, by which such 3 harvest rites must be in perfect harmony with the type, which is pattern number 6. And you see how accurate the scripture is. 31 AD is pattern number 6, and 1844 Bible calendar is pattern number 6. Now, let us show to you the diagram. So, let us read it. We'll show to you again the first offering of the wave ship on the heavenly sanctuary that was occurred in April 1844 AD, which is Bible calendar. And we place also the equivalent in Gregorian calendar. So let us read the wave ship and the wave looms 237, pattern 237. So look at, brothers and sisters, how perfect the plan of redemption is. So, if you can see that diagram, and we will send to you that diagram. 1843, you can see October 11. In Gregorian calendar, that is October 22, 1844. In Bible calendar, that is October 11, 1843. That is the day by which Jesus Christ entered into the most holy place. The day by which Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place. Now, remember, I would like to read again track number 3, page 86. Let me read to you. Track number 3, page 86. It says, the 40 days in Acts chapter 1, verse 3 and 9, from the resurrection to the ascension are consequently typical of the period from 1844. Now, I would like to focus first 1844. And before this light came, we have a hard time to find out what does it mean, the 40 typical days from April 18, which is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, up to the ascension of Jesus Christ, May 27, 31 AD. This one is May 18, 31 AD, May 27. We know that from 31 AD to 1844, it could not be 40 days. It cannot be 40 years, neither 400 years, neither 4,000 years. But there must be a definite answer of that 40 typical days. Not until we found out that it is pointing to the date on Bible calendar, which is April 18, then plus 22 of October equals 40. So 18 plus 22 equals 40. This 22 is October 22. April 18 plus October 22 equals 40. You see, brothers and sisters, how God revealed first. The very first one that had been revealed is the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary
in October 22, 1844. Now, here, brothers and sisters, since we focus to the wave ship and the wave globes, the very first offering in the heavenly sanctuary, in the most holy place, occurred on April 18, 1844. Now, let us look at again the diagram. April 18, 1844. That is the time that the wave ship is offered. If you have been able to listen out our episode 28, we already explained there we enumerated the first of the first fruits of the three classes of saints, which is the antitype, temple, altar, and worshippers. And that is the reason that the resurrected ones on that very day on April 18, 31 AD are selected from the three generations. The generation under the first seal, second seal, third seal. And the generation of the first seal, they are the first of the first fruits to the temple as well as the first fruits. And the second seal to the altar, and the third seal to the worshippers. And we know that there are two translated saints. The first one is Enoch, that is the first seal. And the second one is Elijah, that is under the third seal. So the third seal is directly addressed to the 144,000 living saints. So each of them, so that is stated, you remember we read in track number 3, saying that the wave ship and the wave globes must have a double application, each to the dead and to the living. And this is first the wave ship of the dead represented by the temple. So hoping that we understand, brothers and sisters, this is the prototype. The prototype took place in the heavenly sanctuary. The prototype, brothers and sisters. But the prototype took place in the most holy place. So let us read, look at again the diagram. So it was in April 18, 1844 that the wave ship, the first of the first fruits of the temple, were offered to the presence of God the Father. And the entire first fruits of the wave ship, the prototypical wave ship, was completely gathered on May 27, 1844. So that is the first literal 40 days, which is the prototypical 40 days. Because the antitypical 40 days is the resurrection of Jesus Christ up to His ascension. Both of them are April 18 and 27. So there are three numbers there, 18, 13, and 27. So here, brothers and sisters, and again, I would like to read first this reading. Here in 1 SR 233 and 234, it says, "Woe to him who may think all these wonderful designs in the beauty of perfection are just a chance or an accident. Such a one is denying the master mechanic of all creation. He is paying homage to evolution, meaning chance. No, it is not just an accident. It is purposive design." Here in 2SR page 253, it says, "It is certain that nothing could fit so perfectly by accident. But think of such marvelous foresight in devising a wonder of this kind, which could reveal by a living picture the future for thousands of years. Are not such evidences, are this a token of love divine toward fallen beings? Gratitude swells from our hearts. Words fail us. We can only exclaim with the psalmist, 'Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments.'" Psalms 119, 105, and 106. So, no, it is perfectly arranged by God, brothers and sisters. All the happenstance, and we already proved to you that the purpose of the devil by introducing the Gregorian calendar is to confuse God's people. But it was even thwarted by God. And because of that Gregorian calendar, established the infallible proof as recorded in Acts chapter 1 verse 3. And what is that infallible proof? The symbolic number 40. There is a literal 40 days. But the literal 40 days, there is also a revelation of figurative number 40. Now, I would like to, or symbolic number 40. I would like to read again the statement here in volume 5, page 754. "That which appears to finite minds entangled and complicated, the Lord's hand can keep in perfect order. He can devise ways and means to thwart the purposes of wicked men." Volume 5, page 754. So God thwart the purposes of the wicked men. So instead to confuse God's people by introducing the Gregorian calendar, it was even utilized by God to establish the infallible proofs. And here we introduce to you, one by one, the infallible proofs. And such infallible proofs revealed the two biblical numbers to a certain scriptural truth. Numbers 3 and number 7. 1SR 232. By all Bible students, these two numbers, 3 and 7, is accepted as the biblical numbers to a certain scriptural truth, by which Numbers 3 and 7 is even revealed how God laid down the plan of redemption in the parable in Matthew 20. The 3 hours interval. It says here in 2SR 237, the time allowed for its movement is marked on God's clock dial as 3 hours. The first 3 hours on the dial indicate from creation to the fall of Adam. Consequently, it leaves only 21 allegorical hours for human provision. 7 times 3 equals 21. Therefore, we have another reason why the angel said there should be time no longer. 2SR 237. Although I will elaborate that portion on our next episode concerning Revelation 10 verse 7. But let us focus to all the diagrams that we will introduce to you. And after we will introduce this diagram, we will explain it one by one, my dear brothers and sisters, so that we could be able to comprehend. Because all these diagrams are the infallible proofs bestowed by God, graciously placed in our hands. And we are now sharing to you these infallible proofs, by which the bottom line is that we are about to go home. Because this 7, remember in White House Recruiter, page 15, the time of salvation is revealed 24 hours, right? 12 symbolical hour each. I would like to read first. White House Recruiter, page 15. White House Recruiter, page 15. The truth is now become clear that the parable divides the time of salvation into 2 equal parts of 12 symbolical hours each. The period before the Bible, which is the night, and the period during the Bible represented by the daylight, lending additional force to the fact that the parable thus divides time, Jesus declares, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk during the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. John 11, verse 9. So, the statement in 2SR page 237, I would like to illustrate to you how the number 7 had been illustrated, brothers and sisters. That is from the fall of Adam, right? From the fall of Adam to the time when immortality is granted to the 144,000. It is only illustrated by 7 times 3 equals 21. So there are 3 remaining hours to complete the 24 hours. This is the 3 hours, or remaining 3 hours to complete the 24 hours. But these 3 hours, remaining 3 hours, is opposite, reverse order to the 3 hours in the clock dial of God. Because the first 3 hours, that is from creation to the time when Adam and Eve were driven from the Garden of Eden. Driven from the Garden of Eden. So that is the first 3 hours. First 3 hours. But in the antitype, it is the last 3 hours. Last 3 hours. And it is opposite. This one is from creation down to the time when Adam was driven from their Eden home. But here, it is the time that from the time the 144,000 living saints immortality was granted, there are 3 hours when all God's people will return to their Eden home. So, the last 3 symbolical hours. So it was reverse order, or it is opposite to the first 3 hours, the historical event. Now let's go back to our subject, brothers and sisters. So let us go first to the first typical, the first antitypical 40 days, which is the prototypical, literal 40 days. That was from April 18, 1844. Let us go again to our diagram. So, for example, this is the book of waving. So, in April 18, 1844, the first of the first fruit, which is the wave ship of the temple, was inscribed into this book. And then it is offered by Jesus Christ to God the Father. Then after offering, commenced the gathering of the entire first fruits of the temple, or the prototypical first fruits of the temple. And it was completely gathered into the book pertains to the first fruits. So this is the book first of the first fruits. This is the book of the first fruit. So the word gathered, meaning their names had been completely inscribed into this book. And it was finished on May 27, 1844. The same with the type, the 40 typical days ended on May 27, 31 AD. But where is the figurative 40? Now, look at the miracle. First, the type, there are only 3 numbers in the type, right? 18, that is April 18, the 13 remaining days, and May 27. So these 3, brothers and sisters, contains the infallible proof. Now, April 18 is pointing to the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary occurred in October 22, 1844. And it is Gregorian. So the figurative here is from Bible calendar to Gregorian. April 18 plus 22 equals 40. Now look at, when does the worship had been offered in the heavenly sanctuary in Bible calendar? April 18. No, but it is not the Bible calendar. The partner of Bible calendar is Gregorian, and it was on April 27. So April 18 in Bible calendar, in Gregorian, that is April 27, 1845. Would you think that is just mere happenstance? 13 plus 27 equals 40. You see, brothers and sisters, that is very plain, given by the voice of inspiration. So we have now the prototypical wave ship and then the prototypical wave lobes. But before we go to the prototypical wave lobes, let us finish first the first fruit, brothers and sisters, the first of the first fruits and the first fruit. The first fruit is completely gathered within that 40 days. Now let us read again, track number 3, 1934 edition. Track number 3, 1934 edition, page 66 and 67. It was during the 40 days of Christ's personal presence with his disciples from his resurrection to his ascension that the first fruits, the 120, were gathered in. So, when does the first fruits have been gathered in? Within the 40 days. His presence among them has a deep meaning, and it should be understood by every disciple of Christ. If these 40 days have no other significance, they certainly bear the thought of his personal care over the ingathering of the fruit. But shall we say this vigilance was true only during his short stay with his laborers in that particular time? Such thought would not entertain the truth of his being the only Savior from everlasting to everlasting. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Matthew 28 verse 20. Is he not the same vigilant Savior of the Old Testament as well as the New? Indeed, Jesus Christ is the vigilant Savior, both Testaments, Old and New. Moreover, his personal care in gathering his people in those 40 days, which we see to be a type of his supervision of the ingathering of the fruits in every generation, should therefore reveal that he is the lamb slain from the foundation of the world and the good shepherd in all ages, in every generation. But the word every generation was revealed only by 3 generations. Why? Because the resurrected saints were selected from creation down to the days of Christ, according to early writings, page 184. So I would like to read again. It says, when Jesus, as he hung upon the cross, cried out, "It is finished," the rocks rent, the earth shook, and some of the graves were opened. When he arose, a victor over death and the grave, while the earth was reeling, and the glory of heaven shone around the sacred spot, many of the righteous dead, obedient to his call, came forth as witnesses that he had risen. Those favored rising saints came forth glorified. They were chosen and holy ones of every age from creation down even to the days of Christ. But we know that that generation from creation down to the days of Christ consists only of the first 3 seals. According to 2SR page 221, now let us read the generation from creation down to Jesus Christ. Only 3 seals. 2SR page 221. Summary of commencement and termination of seals. The first seal covers the entire period from Adam to the flood. The second seal from the flood to Abraham. The third seal from Abraham to Christ. So from creation down to Christ, there are only 3 seals. Why 3? Brothers and sisters, because the saints to be measured, because numbering, if you will say numbering, how does the saints will be numbered? By the mystical number 40. But who are they that have been commanded by God to number? Only the temple, the altar, and the worshippers, according to Revelation 11 verse 1. Because verse 2, the court outside the temple, they are no longer to be numbered, meaning they are not included in this subject, wave ship and wave lobes, brothers and sisters, because they are no longer to be numbered, but they will be included on that celebration, Feast of Tabernacles, but not in the wave ship and not on the wave lobes. Wave ship and wave lobes, there must be only 3 representation: temple, altar, and worshippers. Revelation 11 verse 1. So, those that had been resurrected at the first seal, represented by the temple, second seal, altar, third seal, worshippers. So, it is wave ship and wave lobes has a double application, each to the dead and to the living. Track number 3. I think that is number 82. So, now let us go back again, brothers and sisters, because I'm trying my best that we could finish this diagrams, all of them, up to this present year, 2021. And then we will proceed to the last celebration, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. So, let us go back again, brothers and sisters. Now, remember, I would like to repeat again, there must be literal 40 days and there must be figurative 40 days. The figurative 40 days is revealed through the commencement. The commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary, 22. Then, the waving of the wave ship, which is the type. Then, 18 plus 22 equals 40. The remaining days, when Jesus Christ was offered or resurrected, there are 13 days to complete April. And then, the wave ship had been offered in Gregorian calendar, April 27, by which in Bible that is April 18. Then, 13 plus 27 equals 40. So, we have already the two infallible fruit, impregnable evidence, number 40. The literal is from April 18, 1844, up to May 27, 1844, all the names, both to the first of the first fruits and the names of the first fruits, the prototypical first of the first fruits, the prototypical first fruits of the temple are already inscribed into the book of waving. So, that is the illustration, because in the heavenly sanctuary, it is purely bookwork transaction, according to White House Recruiter, page 20. And that heaven books deal with all aspects of life. Right? So that is the prototypical. Now, where is the antitypical wave ship and wave lobes of the temple? So, let us show to you the antitypical. The antitypical, I would like to go back first, this number 242. Diagram number 242. So, you see, brothers and sisters, you can see the type. April 18, 31 AD, that is the time when Jesus Christ was resurrected. To May 27, that is the time the 40 days ended. And June 7, by which the Pentecost, the Pentecostal power received by the 120 disciples. So, after they had been gathered, there are 10 days by which they received the Pentecostal power. And remember, that is typical. And although it is according to track number 3, 1934, edition, page 66 and 67, typify all generation, but it is even more directly applied to the 144,000 living saints. And those waving of the temple and altar are only the groundwork, as stated in track number 5, page 32. But the particular object in view is the 144,000 living saints. Now look at, brothers and sisters, if you can see our diagram. Jesus Christ was resurrected on April 18, 31 AD. If you can see the diagram, brothers and sisters. April 18, that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and there are 13 remaining days. Then Jesus Christ ascended to heaven May 27, and if you will add 18 plus 13 plus 27, that is 58. And you think that is just a mere happenstance? That in Julian calendar, April 18 is May 58 AD, May 7. No, it is not just a mere happenstance. That is purposive design. And even 58 AD in Julian calendar, if you will multiply 5 times 8 equals 40, you think it is just an accident? I've said all of them are infallible proofs, purposive design, revealed by God. Now, let us go now to the antitype, because we already revealed to you the prototype of the temple. So let us go to the antitype. 247, slide 1. So this is the antitype. The antitype of the temple. Who are they, the antitype? They are those who are still lying unconscious in their graves. So it is only their names that had been offered. And the divine procedure is that before they will be offered, their sins must be blotted out first. So that is the divine principle. So, after their sins had been completely blotted out, who are they? The temple. Then the first of the first fruits of the temple had been offered on April 18, 2012. Still the same pattern, number 6. And then the entire first fruits of the temple, which is still lying unconscious in their graves, were completely inscribed into that book, the Book of Waving, on May 27, 2012 AD. In Gregorian calendar, it is November 28, 2010. That is in Gregorian calendar. So we have now, brothers and sisters, we have the type and we have the antitype concerning the temple or concerning the first class of saints to be measured in the heavenly sanctuary, which is the temple, which is the prototype as well as the antitype. The prototype of the temple, it was waved in the most holy place, but the antitype of the temple, it was waved in the holy place. Because at that time, on 2012, Jesus Christ was already in the holy place. And He is the one who will offer the worship, being the high priest. Now, second, let us go to the altar. The prototype of the altar. Let me see. Number 245. So, I would like to show to you. The prototype of the altar. Who are they, the prototype of the altar? Those that had been resurrected under the second seal. So do not forget, the prototype are those that had been resurrected by Jesus Christ on April 18, 31 AD, divided into two. 6 a.m., first of the first fruits, 9 a.m., the first fruits. So, when we say prototype, they are those that already in heaven. When we say antitype, they are those who are still lying unconscious in their graves, not yet resurrected. So that is the antitype. So the prototype, they were already in heaven to represent the three classes of saints: temple, altar, and worshippers. First seal, second seal, third seal. Temple is the first seal, second seal, altar, and third seal, worshippers. So, look at, I do fully believe that B.T. Hotep has no knowledge concerning Bible calendar. But look at the statement of B.T. Hotep. I would like to read. One symbolic code, number 9, page 8. One symbolic code, number 9, page 8. So let us read. Moreover, the very first vision which Sister White had was of the 144,000. The denomination has always believed that its purpose was to gather the remnant people, the 144,000. Hence, when the net was first sent forth in 1844, it was for the gathering of the 144,000, which is still vaguely believes it is after. But which the shepherd's rod proves, it has already gathered. And as the 144,000 are first fruits, showing that second fruits must follow and further, as the net has through the years gathered of every kind good, the 144,000 and bad alike. Therefore the net has to be drawn ashore, and the good gathered into vessels, and the bad cast away before the second fruits, the great multitude, Revelation 7 verse 9, Isaiah 66 verse 20, can be gathered, Revelation 18 verse 4. Now, ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. This was written in 1935. And it is already pointing to the altar because it commenced in 1844. And if you will look at in Bible calendar, 1935 is pattern number 6. So, we can really appreciate that the prophet is guided by the Spirit of Christ. It was in 1935, by which B.T. Hotep says that the first fruits are already gathered. But who are they, the first fruits that are already gathered? The prototype. The first fruits of the prototype of the altar. Who are they? Those that had been resurrected on the second seal. The generation from 2344 BC to 1921 BC. So, they were already gathered into that book. So, there are 3 books in the heavenly sanctuary, which is pointing to the book of waving. But the 3 are the prototype, and there are also 3 which is the antitype. And plus the type, then 3 plus 3 plus 1 equals 7. So, number 7 is pointing to the heavenly sanctuary, indicating completeness. Number 3 is pointing to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. First, who are the number 3? Those have been resurrected, first seal, second seal, third seal. Second representation of number 3, Jesus Christ, and those that had been resurrected at 6 a.m., and those that had been resurrected at 9 a.m. So, number 3, brothers and sisters. Now, so let us go back to the diagram, the altar, the prototype. So, it was on April 18, 1935. You think it is just a mere happenstance? That when the prophet says that it was already gathered, the first fruits, which is the first fruits of the altar, the prophet declared it on the year 1935, not knowing that 1935 is pattern number 6. No, it is not just a mere happenstance. Although the prophet have no knowledge concerning about it, but it is God who dictated the prophet. indicating that it was in 1935 by which the wave ship, the prototypical wave ship of the altar was offered April 18, 1935, and the entire first fruits, the prototypical first fruits of the altar was already gathered on May 27, 1935. So let's go back again to our diagram. You see, brothers and sisters? Now, look at, brothers and sisters. In the antitype, it was in 2019. April 2019, pattern number 6. That is the time by which the antitypical wave ship had been waved in the presence of God the Father by Jesus Christ. Pattern number 6, April 18. Who are the antitype? The altar, brothers and sisters. The altar, those who died under the sixth seal from 1844. But the first of the first fruits of the altar is also divided into two. The first of the first fruits of Isaiah 57:1, the first of the first fruits of Revelation 14:13, as well as the first fruits. But both of them had been offered on April 18, 2019. That is the antitype. And look at in the Gregorian calendar, that was October 22, 2017. You see the two dates, April 18, 31 AD, October 22, 1844, compacted into one. On that happenstance, which October 22, 2017, Gregorian calendar, in Bible calendar, that was April 18. It will take, brothers and sisters, I think, let us see, 5,837 years. Let us see if it will repeat again. 7854. October 22, 7854, Gregorian calendar. October 22, 7854 AD. You see, that is April 18 in Bible calendar. So it will take from 2017, it will take 5,837 years. That it will repeat again. That October 22 in Bible calendar is April 18. That is why it is infallible fruit. We already tried that, brethren, every year. And it was proven that happens only once in a lifetime. Both of them, also October 22, 1844. Let us add 7681. You see, although it is still, that does not coincide because that is October 12. Supposed to be, it must be October 11. So October 22, 1844, by which in Bible calendar is October 11, it will take more than 6,000 years to repeat again. But the world will not exist in 1844 more than 6,000 years. Because the world will be only 6,000 years old when probation closes. If there is another 6,000 years in 1844, then the world will exist more than 12,000 years. Contradictory to the Bible. So October 22, 1844 will never happen again. There are two prominent events in October 22, 1844 that will never happen again. The date itself, that October 22, which is Tuesday, and in Bible calendar is October 11, it takes thousands of years. But the matter is that it will never happen. Because if it will be repeated again, you will count, I think, at least 11,000 years. But if you will look at, the date coincides, but the new moon does not. Because another fruit is the new moon. From the time the new moon appeared, you will count 10 days, and that is the Day of Atonement. And we know that the new moon appeared in 1844, in October 11. You see, brothers and sisters, plus 10. October 21, that is the Day of Atonement. Then October 22, that is October 11. The same with this antitypical waving of the ship in 2017. October 22, 2017, in Gregorian calendar, in Bible calendar, that is April 18. 18 plus 22 equals 40. One day, figurative number 40. Only in 2017, one day is figurative number 40. Because this one, figurative 40, but different year. 18 is 31 AD, 22 is 1844. Different year. Also this one, 31 AD, this one is 1845. But 2017, one day, figurative number 40. That October 22, 2017, in Bible calendar, that is April 18. So that Sunday, figurative number 40 because Gregorian, 22. Bible, 18. 22 plus 18 equals 40. But pointing to the same day, Sunday. Pointing to the same day, Sunday. That Sunday, October 22, in Bible calendar, that is April 18. And if you will add 22 plus 18 equals 40. You think that is just a mere happenstance? No, that is purposive design. And you might ask, how do you know 1844, 1935, and 2012, and 2017. How do you know those dates? Simple. By the shepherd's rod. And at the time when the Bible creation calendar had been established, it became easier. First, what is the divine principle? You need to find pattern number 6. So I would like to show to you so that you could understand. How do we know that it is 1844? Because the shepherds were declared. 3 symbolic code, 5 and 6, page 13. In 1844, the wave ship is offered into the presence of the Lord. So it is stated. The year is stated. The question, is it Gregorian? No. Because when Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in Gregorian, that is October 22, 1844, and the remaining months of Gregorian is October, November, December. Then January, that is already 1845. There was no waving on October, there was no waving on November, there was no waving on December. And we already established the absolute fact that in Bible calendar, 1844 is 1843. Therefore, the 1844 in 3 symbolic code, 5 and 6, page 13, is Bible calendar. And it is locked with the 40, figurative number 40. Because the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary is October 22. And we have April 18. 18 plus 22 equals 40. The commencement of the waving of the ship in the heavenly sanctuary, most holy place, in Gregorian, April 27. The remaining days from Christ's resurrection in April is 13. 13 plus 27 equals 40. Infallible. Now, how do we know that the prototypical wave ship and the gathering of the first fruits occurred in 1935? The shepherd's rod. It is B.T. Hotep says that was in 1935 that he declared that the first fruits are already gathered. In 1 symbolic code number 9, page 8, you can read here, 1935. The year by which it was written, 1935. As a matter of fact, it is in the month of January. Because April 18, 1935, in Bible calendar, in Gregorian, that is January, January 6. So it is perfect. It was written on the month of January because that January in Bible calendar, that was April. So where we could find 1935? The shepherd's rod. It is the shepherd's rod who declared it. Although B.T. Hotep had no knowledge concerning the Bible calendar, but the clue is found in the shepherd's rod. How do we know that it is 2012? Brothers and sisters, maybe we will go back to our reading. The statement that angel in Daniel 12 that make an oath or he swear is Jesus Christ. And he swear to the time. So let us read again the statement. So let's read. It says, Peter tells us the time revealed was not literal but symbolical. So I would like to read again. Peter tells us the time revealed was not literal but symbolical. If you will say symbolical, one day, what is the equivalent? 1 year. That is symbolical. Now it says here, Peter tells us the time revealed was not literal but symbolical. What manner of time? So, the manner of time is symbolical. He also says that the angels desire to look into these things. By turning into the 12th chapter of Daniel, we find that after the angel had finished the detailed explanation of the visions and wound up with the standing of Michael, one like God, the Son of God, the resurrection of the saints, and those that had turned many to righteousness, shine as the stars, etc. That Daniel says, verse 5, 2 angels, and one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Here is an inquiry about time by the angels. Well, Peter said the angels desired to look into it. Did they get an answer? See Daniel 12 verse 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever. And it shall be for a time, times, and half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. This person, thus swearing, was none other than the Lord Jesus Christ. And he swore to time, yet to time connected with the second advent, the resurrection, and the glorification of his people. The time, however, is symbolical. Then it says, But will any dare take the blasphemous position that the Lord Jesus swore to time that meant nothing? Or which is the same thing, swear with the most solemn oath to time that intended should never be understood. Such a position, one would suppose, is blasphemous enough to make a devil tremble, for it is virtually charging the Lord of glory with swearing a lie. Beware of vain men, how you thus charge the Son of God. Time is revealed, but it cannot be understood without obeying Christ and inquiring and searching diligently what and what manner of time. Those who are too indolent to search or who are afraid to follow truth, then when they find it, for fear of man whose breath is in his nostrils. will of course remain in ignorance of time. And that day most likely will come upon them unawares. You see, brothers and sisters? Now, I would like to show to you how many the symbolical time. Let's read the statement here, by which the voice of inspiration made it so plain that the tarrying time. It says, what is the exact number of the tarrying time? And it says 6 months. It says, how long is the tarrying time? How long is the tarrying time? Half a year. So what? How long the tarrying time? Half a year. So what is the half of 1 year? 6 months. 6 times 30. 180 days. But that is symbolical. Meaning 180 years. When does the tarrying time begins? Let us read. 2SR. 2SR page 182. 2SR 182. Therefore, the tarrying time must be the judgment for the dead. So how many days the tarrying time? 6 months, 180 days. But that is symbolical. Beginning from October 22, 1844. So to find out the exact number of days, so let us multiply 180 times 360 days. So let us multiply 180 times 360 equals 64,800 days. Now let us go to time and death calculator. Let us go to Bible calendar. October 11, 1843. Then let us add 64,800 days. You see, brothers and sisters, you will fall on March 22, 2022. By which in Bible calendar, October 10. October 10, 1843. So it will end on March 22, 2022, which is in Bible calendar, that is October 10, 2023. Therefore, it was already revealed beforehand, brothers and sisters, that the entire proceedings that pertains to up to the time when immortality will be granted to the 144,000, there are 180. Because number 3 is the biblical number. The first 180 is, B.T. Hotep says, let us read, 2SR page 233. It says, mark the following point with care. From the 9th hour in 1844 to the 12th or close of provision, there are only 3 full hours. And how many minutes in 3 full hours? 60. Now, 3 times 60 equals 180. The second one is the age of Isaac. Age of Isaac. Isaac died at the age of 180. Now, let us read the statement in 1SR. It says here, 1SR on page 15. In volume 3, page 369, we read, Isaac was a figure of the Son of God, who was offered a sacrifice for the sins of the world. Again, we read in Desire of Ages, page 112, and in the ram divinely provided in the place of Isaac, Abraham saw a symbol of him who was to die for the sins of men. Thus, Isaac and the ram are symbols of Christ's submission, death, and sacrifice. 1SR, page 15 and 16. When Abraham offered Isaac, Isaac was 17 years old. When God showed to Sister White the vision in 1844, Sister White is 17 years old. So Sister White was 17 years old when the vision was shown by God to Sister White in 1844. Also Isaac, when Isaac was offered in Mount Moriah, Isaac was 17 years old. And the name Isaac is spelled 5 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the number of the Bible. And the second is the tarrying time. The voice of inspiration says that the time is symbolical. The tarrying time. How many? Half a year. That is 6 months times 30 equals 180. Therefore, it was revealed by 3 that from 1844 up to March 22, 2022, in Bible calendar, it is October 10, 2023. That is the end part of the Day of Atonement, brothers and sisters, by which this is the time by which the sins of the 144,000 will be completely blotted out. This coming Day of Atonement, March 10, 2022. So, to repeat again, brothers and sisters, it cannot be mistaken because it is perfectly arranged by inspiration. Look at the midnight cry. Midnight cry. Primary application, according to B.T. Hotep, from 1833 to 1844. 10 years. Why 10 years? Because in the Levitical system, before the high priest will enter the most holy place, there are 10 days Feast of Trumpets to inform everyone that the high priest will enter into the most holy place. And that is typifying the work of Christ. It is William Miller who began to proclaim the message in 1833, according to White House Recruiter, page 19. Now, but that is only the type. The antitype, which is the perfect fulfillment of the prophecy, brothers and sisters, it must be from 2011 to 2021, 10 years, you see? And that is why we are certain, because we need to find out pattern number 6 within this period of time, because the type is pattern number 6. So, type, 31 AD, pattern number 6. Antitype, 1844. Pattern number 6, or prototype rather. Then, this is the prototype of the temple. Prototype of the altar, 1935, pattern number 6. Antitype of the temple, 2012, pattern number 6. The prototype of the altar, 2017, pattern number 6. And not only that, miraculously, in Gregorian calendar, revealed the mystical number 40, 1844, October 18, 22, or 18 plus 22 equals 40. It is Bible calendar. I missed the October 22. October 22, 1844, because this one is April 18. And in Gregorian, it is 27. Then 13 plus 27 equals 40. But in 2017, it is placed in one. The same day, Sunday, October 22, 2017, April 18 in Bible calendar is 40. Therefore, revealed by 3. There are 3 mysterious number 40 that pertains to the dead. There must also be 3 mystical number 40 that pertains to the living. You see, brothers and sisters, 3 plus 3 equals 6. To complete or to make it 7, it is reserved to the great multitude which no man could number. The great multitude, brothers and sisters. So, we will continue this subject tomorrow and hoping that God would help us. This very important subject, 3 and 7. So, there are 3, brothers and sisters. In 31 AD, what is number 3? The 3 generations resurrected from first seal, second seal, third seal. But on the actual day of resurrection, April 18, there are also 3. Jesus Christ, those that had been resurrected at 6 a.m., and those that had been resurrected at 9 a.m. So there are also 3. Right? So, in the heavenly sanctuary, of course, the first 3 is prototypical of temple, prototypical of altar, prototypical of worshipers. And on the earth, there are 3 antitype. Antitypical temple, antitypical altar, antitypical worshipers. So it was revealed by 3, but it is also revealed by 7. Meaning, there are 3 in the prototypical, there are 3 in antitypical, 3 plus 3 equals 6, then plus the court, the living saints, the great multitude equals 7. So, revealed, numbers 3 and number 7. But if we will not include the great multitude, the type which was occurred in 44 AD, when was the first waving, which is represented by the type? That is in the holy place. That was April 18, 44 AD. But it seems the number itself is projecting to the year of the first offering also in the most holy place, 1844. April 18, 44 AD, that is also 1844. The first offering on the most holy place. The first offering in the holy place. And the more we study, brothers and sisters, the time will come that you can appreciate the goodness of God and you can appreciate how God perfectly arranged the plan of redemption with infallible proofs by number 3 and number 7. So, hoping that God would bless us and would help us. So, see you again on our next episode because we are now digging deeper and deeper until we could be able to comprehend the entire plan of redemption in its entirety. From crucifixion down to the visible coming of Jesus Christ, brothers and sisters. Or even if from the time Jesus Christ was baptized, because we are talking about the life of Jesus Christ on earth and the work of Jesus Christ in heaven. The life of Jesus Christ on earth from the time He was baptized, October 16, 27 AD, up to the work of Jesus Christ in the heavenly sanctuary, up to the time when Jesus Christ will come to this earth on that year of Jubilee to take out all the saints, resurrected and living saints to the third heaven and there to stay in the New Jerusalem for 1,000 years. Thank you very much. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful